Are you tired of always stumbling over that cardboard box, which you used when you last moved out, and now sits beside your bed and is used as a nightstand? Do you want to stumble over a more modern, sturdier nightstand, which has drawers to store your things, and which you can use as is when you move out again? I have an answer for all these questions and a solution for all your problems. In today's video, I'm going to build a modular nightstand, which can be moved as is to a new location, and will be ready to be used in no time. It's literally just some drawers in a fancier package, but let me show you what I mean. So I like using CAD whenever possible for sketching out some ideas before committing to building anything, and this time you can see how I went through several iterations before getting to my final design. Now I will be using this 2020 aluminum profile for the frame of the drawers and MDF for the drawers themselves. The entire design is based around this A3 size sheet of MDF because it's quite a standard size and it is widely available. Because of this, I can always build more drawers without having to do any complicated cuts. I only need to cut some of the MDF sheets straight across, as you will see in just a second. The width of this MDF is 6 mm, which is exactly the same width as the channel in the aluminum profile, making it excellent to embed in the top and bottom of the nightstand. The beauty of this design is that it can be made for any height, and it can be custom made for any purpose you may have. The drawers can be easily adjusted or replaced, and if for any reason I don't need this whole thing anymore, it can be taken apart and the profiles can be used for any other project. And I will obviously use some 3D printing in this project as well, because these drawer slides are a tiny bit shorter than the frame, thus I needed to design and print some custom brackets. Alright, so this is the plan, now let's get to building. Okay, so little update on the U-base build. I should have been working on it right now, but the weather in the UK, at the moment I'm filming this, looks like this. And I know it's amazing and I absolutely love it. But as you can see, there is my workbench that I usually use. Now it's covered in snow and everything's wet and cold. And obviously if the bench is covered in snow, I cannot do any woodworking on it right now. But that's going to be on hold for a little bit until it gets a bit warmer and the snow melts and everything is dry. Until then, let's continue with the project we're doing right now. Okay, so let's start cutting the aluminum profiles to the right dimension and put everything together. So we now have the bottom completed. I did not put an MDF sheet on the bottom because I don't have enough for all the drawers and all the size, so the bottom doesn't really need that MDF sheet. But man, this was slow and boring, putting all the screws and tightening them and making sure everything is alright. I think there must be a quicker and more exciting way to do this. Just let me try something else. See, that was much more fun. So we have the top and the bottom now. I'm ready to put the sides and make a box out of this. Okay, so we have our frame now, which looks quite nice, and we're gonna have to make a start on the drawers themselves. So I'm going to make a start now on the drawers, and I will now cut the sides and the fronts and backs of the drawers, and I will show you the easiest method of doing straight cuts into this MDF without needing a table saw or any other fancy equipment other than your normal hand saw. You'll also probably need some straight pieces of wood, leftovers. I'm using this from a previous project, and if you don't know the masking tape and super glue trick, you will learn it now. I will now mark my line. Now what we're gonna do is use these pieces of wood as a guide for the saw. So we need to find a way of gluing or clamping these strips to the MDF. The easiest method is the masking tape and super glue trick. Make sure you still have enough masking tape. If you don't, you're gonna run into trouble. So I actually don't have enough masking tape, but I still have the wider one. I'm going to use this. I'm just going to cut it in half. So you stick one piece of tape to your MDF board and then another piece of tape to your straight edge. You make sure you burnish them down so they are stuck very well. And then you put some super glue down. You really don't need much super glue for this thing. Then you just stick your straight piece of wood on top of the MDF. Make sure everything is lined up properly. Press it down a little bit. And now you have a really well secured guide on your MDF. I'm going to do the same thing for the second one. And I'm also going to make sure that I have enough clearance for my blade. And then you're good to go and make your cut. It might also be a good idea to clamp your board down if you have any clamps. And then you just proceed to cut your board. MDF is really easy to cut, so you won't have any troubles with doing that. And we now have all our drawer sides and fronts and backs cut, and now we need to glue everything together. I will be using wood glue. I will be using a very inexpensive staple gun with some brad nails in it and a little hammer. So I will start by looking for the flattest edge of the side so I can have a very good connection between the sides and the bottom, and I will just lay a bit of glue on the edge and then glue it onto the bottom. Right, so I will now just leave it like that for a second so that the glue starts setting a little bit. In the meantime, I'm also going to glue up the second one. Right, so I think it's fairly safe now to turn this around and just put a couple of nails in it. Let's see. I like to do both sides at the same time because when I turn it around, I have a flat surface to work on. Right, so I already put some brad nails into the middle of the edges just so everything holds up, and I'm going to put the other ones. My stapler is one of the cheapest ones I bought from Poundland or something like that. It does not have enough force to actually drive them all the way in, so I will start them with the stapler and then finish them with a hammer. Okay, so now that the sides are glued up and secured, we can go ahead and put the front and the back on, and we'll be done with the first drawer. Okay, so we have one drawer made, and it's not easy because everything just fights against you. Not having the right tools and the right space is a really big disadvantage in this case, but one is done, 3 more to go. Whoa, that was quick. Now, we have all of them made. On to the next step, which is putting the rails on this and installing everything on the frame. So I have my drawer slides now, and these particular ones allow me to take out the piece that goes onto the drawer. So I will start by marking and drilling some holes and installing this size on all the drawers. So there's not much more left of this build. The last step is to install these sliders onto the frame, but because they are a tiny bit shorter than the frame, I will tighten them onto the front rail and I will use a 3D printed bracket to tighten them onto the back ones. Alright, so you see this? This screw doesn't fit in this hole. So now I'm not tightening them all the way right now because I will adjust them at the end when I put them on the frame. Okay, so that was a long night. The assembly was much more difficult than I thought it would be, and it took much more time than it should have. But it is finally done, everything is finished, and I can say I'm very pleased with the result. Everything works as it should be, the drawers slide in and out easily. The only thing I need to do now before finishing this project is put some sort of handles, maybe drill some holes in the middle of the drawers so I can take them in and out more easily. I'm gonna start with the pilot hole. And then just finish it off with a hole cutter. And with that, we can finally call this project finished. I am really pleased with how this came out. I cannot wait to use it as my nightstand and or storage for different bits and bobs. And it's most probably going to be tools. But I hope you all liked this video, and if you did, please do click that like button. If you want to follow along to more projects like this, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time.